examples together, and then I'm going to let you guys do some practice on your own. So we're going to do number 5 together. So remember the steps from the front side of the page. So first off, this is greater than, so we are going to be dealing with an or inequality here. Okay. Step number 1 is to isolate. These are already isolated, so we're very lucky we don't have to do step 1. Step 2, we are going to create the 2. So the first one is the same. The second one, we keep what was inside the bars exactly the same. Keep it. We switch this from greater than to less than or equal to, and then we switch that positive to a -3. Okay, so now our third step is to solve them both. So we solve them just like a regular equation. Remember, we subtract 5. We have 2x is greater than or equal to -2. We divide by 2. And x is greater than or equal to -1. Okay, and then over here we'll do the same thing. We'll subtract 5. 2x is less than or equal to -8. Divide by 2, and x is less than or equal to -4. So we end up with this or this for our answers. Okay, and since it's or, we should be graphing away from each other, so we'll do that. At -1, we're graphing greater than, so we're going to go to the right. At -4, we're graphing less than, so we're going to the left. And then once we've graphed them, okay, notice now they are equal, so I do need to color in those circles. I didn't do that the first time. And now we need to graph or put them as interval notation. So remember, we're going from -infinity to -4. And the -4 gets a bracket, or the answer will be from -1 to infinity. Remember, these get brackets because they have closed circles and equal to's, and these infinities are going to get parentheses. Okay, remember, we always go from left to right, least to greatest. So -infinity to -4, and then -1 to infinity. Okay, keep that in mind as you work. All right, so let's do another example. This one is going to require us to do step 1. So, first off, let's decide if it's an and or an or. So on number 7, it's greater than. So this is an or. Okay, so first step is to isolate the absolute value. Well, 3 is being multiplied by what's inside the absolute value. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide everything by 3. So that leaves me with the absolute value of 2x plus 8 on the left side is greater than or equal to 10 on the right side. Okay. Now that it's isolated, I can create the 2 inequalities. So make sure that you do that. Okay. Make sure you isolate before you create the 2 inequalities. So we'll have 2x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 10. That's the first one. The second one, we keep what was inside of the absolute value. We switch the greater than to a less than, and we switch the positive 10 to a -10. Okay. All right, second step is to solve, the third step is to solve them both. So we're going to subtract 8. Here we have 2x is greater than or equal to 2. We divide by 2. We find that x is greater than or equal to 1. And then we have subtract the 8. 2x is less than or equal to -18. Divided by 2, and x is less than or equal to -9. Alright, so notice we have those two. Okay, and now we're going to graph those. Remember, it's an or, so it's going to graph apart. So 1 equal to is going to have a closed circle, and we're going to be going greater than that, so everything to the right. And then -9 will have a closed circle there, and everything to the left. Okay, and then we just write that as interval notation. So from -infinity to -9, infinity has parentheses, -9 has a bracket, or from 1, and remember again bracket on that 1, to infinity, and the parentheses on the infinity. Okay, so same steps, very similar to doing absolute value equations. And we're going to do one more example together. We'll do number 9, and then you can practice some of these on your own. So on this, we have the absolute value being multiplied by 10 and then subtracting the 3. So we got to take care of the subtraction first. Okay, so that's step 1. We're going to add 3 to both sides. So 10 x minus 4 greater than 50, and then we're going to divide by 10. So we end up with x minus 4, the absolute value of that, is greater than 5. And that's what we're actually going to turn into our 2 equations. Now, it was greater than, so again, we should have an or equation here. So it's going to be x minus 4 is greater than 5, and the second one is going to be x minus 4 is less than negative 5. All right, next step is to solve them. So we add 4. So x is greater than 9. And then we add 4 over here, and we have x is less than negative 1. And so it should be an or, so we're going to graph that. We have a negative 1. It's an open circle going to the left. And we have a 9, which isn't actually technically on the graph, so we'll have to make us a little spot for it. Open circle, and go to the right on that one. Okay? And then we just write this out as our interval notation. So from negative infinity to negative 1, or from 9 to infinity. And they're all parentheses because we have open circles and infinity symbols. Okay, so a couple things to remember before you work on the rest of them. You're going to be doing the evens, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are yours to complete. Remember that if you multiply or divide by a negative number, it is an inequality, so you still have to flip the sign. So one thing to remember, that might be here on number 8. And look at the number 8, you have an absolute value here. You're dividing by negative 2. So to get rid of that, you need to multiply by negative 2. So when you multiply both sides by negative 2, in order to get rid of that, you have to flip this sign as well. So I would multiply both sides by negative 2. You would cancel this out over here. I'd be left with 4x minus 8 is greater than or equal to 12. Okay, now you can create your 2 equations from that, but be very careful. Okay, so use that to help you out with number 8. Keep that in mind as you work through these. So remember, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are yours to work on. If you have any questions, make sure you ask them. If you need any help with anything, make sure you let me know. I'll be happy to help you. And if you want me to check these when you're finished, just send it to me, and I'll be happy to check the ones that you have completed to make sure you're on the right track. Remember, just let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I'll be happy to help.